welcome to Raving and Reviewing. My name is R and this is my co-host V.
Hey guys.
Today we will be reviewing episode 3 of WandaVision, now in color. So this episode now follows a single episode after the premiere with back-to-back episodes.
Yeah, the previous two.
But it was definitely still another short episode.
Very short, I thought.
Oh yeah, so I was actually, I went through it again today, and it's actually only 25 minutes long.
Yeah, because the end credits are what, 4?
6 minutes long.
Yep.
And it really is like a 20-minute sitcom. Like, this time was really based on Brady Bunch.
Yeah. This I think in color, this is when they're in the 70s, and my thing is, I think Brady Bunch was the biggest sitcom in the 70s. So I'm guessing it's in the Brady Bunch like type show. She has the outfit like all the Brady Bunch people, her hair kind of like all the, straight pinned down like in the 70s. So yeah.
Yeah, this was 100% based on Brady Bunch. Like, the intro scene, they use hexagons, but it was like that same format of like the 9 squares. Well, I guess it was like 8 squares, and then they had like a real picture in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I've never seen the Brady Bunch, so not too sure. I wasn't too sure.
No, that was on Nick at Night all the time, but
yeah,
it definitely was like homage to even the whole intro scene where like he's building the swing set is like a direct scene from like that show.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm like sounding dead. It's like really late at night, so I'm like trying to get awake and alive.
No, it's okay. We're gonna do this. We're not gonna be as long as last time.
Yeah, this is a shorter episode, so there's less to talk about. I mean, it's still interesting.
There's much to talk about in this episode.
Yeah, well, you watched it again. I haven't watched it since Friday, so we'll see.
Well, I mean, watching it again, like, I did catch a little more of the details, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Watching it the first time, I missed the rewind.
Yeah, so he's talking about when Vision is kind of starting to figure out that there's something off there, and he's talking to Wanda about it when she's on the couch. I think this is during the Braxton Hicks part, right? When she's like in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, well, this doesn't make sense. You were pregnant literally like 2 hours ago and you're about to give birth.
Yeah.
And she kind of rewinds the time. It's like a quick, kind of like a glitch almost. And he then goes back to just being normal and playing along with whatever's going on with the baby and Wanda and the pregnancy.
Yeah, like, it's like a glitch, like if Netflix or Disney Plus froze. It's not even like last time where it was a real rewind.
Yeah.
Where it turned back like 5 minutes of time. It was like 1 second, and then it kind of just changed Vision's, I guess, whole, like, he forgot about what he was talking about. Like, he's like, Herb and the neighbor are all acting weird. And maybe there is something going on in this town, and then he completely forgets. So that makes you think, like, is he not real?
Right. And I think the fact that he's like super aware of just the time of her pregnancy, right? Like, at first I'm like, maybe he's a figment of her imagination. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe he's... I don't know. I didn't really have a clue, but my first initial thought was Vision's not real, right? Because we know he's not alive.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Oops. But when I watched Friday's episode, right, I'm like, I don't know, because it seems like he's thinking for himself. He's kind of figuring out, he's aware of time moving weirdly, the fact that his wife was pregnant 2 hours ago and she's about to go into delivery.
Mm-hmm.
He's aware of that, and he's kind of finding it a little weird, and he mentions it to her. And then on top of everything else, when he says it to her, she feels the need, or at least my guess is that she's the one who did this. She feels the need to rewind back time and kind of get him back into place, snap him back into his character. So why does she need to do this if this is not real vision? Like, what other explanation could there be?
Yes, I think he has to be like some kind of figment of his her imagination, or her reality bending abilities.
But if he is, right, and we talked about this in the last episode, he has scenes to himself. You know, he's not attached to just her and her storyline. If this was the case, why does he have his own story? Why is he going through and he's got to be someone that's kind of like, I feel like he's got to be something and someone real in the true world, besides whatever's going on in the show, right? Which we're not really sure at this point. They've pretty much kept us in the dark. But I don't think it's a figment of her imagination. Like, at least that's not my guess, because if it is, it's a little confusing, because he's got all these things that he's doing by himself without her. And one key thing is he's figuring out this world. He was the interaction with the neighbor, right? So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Agnes and Herb, I guess, are gossiping outside.
Oh, is that her name? The neighbor's name? Agnes?
Yes.
Okay, now we know.
I think her real name is Catherine Hahn. I looked that up because I was like, I don't know her name, but
I called her Tilly last time.
No, I think Tilly might be the blonde lady that cut her hand.
Oh, okay, all right. So maybe that's what I thought that was Debbie. No, I'm not good with names.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't back in this episode.
Yeah.
No, but I looked her up, and she's going to be reoccurring in every episode. And when you look her up, her name is actually just Nosy Neighbor when you look at it on Google. It's not Agnes.
Right.
At least not, I mean, maybe on IMDb, but in Google, when you just search cast, her name is not there.
Right.
But, like, when you have the subtitles on, it shows up, and it's there. It's like, she introduced herself, episode 1.
Okay.
No, so what's it called? They're both gossiping about, what's her name? Something with a G.
Oh, Geraldine.
Geraldine. They're saying
we
it's
are not good
safe.
With names.
They're saying Wanda's not safe with Geraldine in the house.
Yeah.
And then they kind of, like, Vision is approaching them, and they kind of quiet down. And then he's like, okay, have a good day, and he walks away, and then he kind of just, like, turns around. He's like, oh, what's up with Geraldine? And he's like, she's not from around here. She doesn't have a home.
Yeah.
She's new here. And he's like, what's wrong with that? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, she doesn't have a family. She doesn't have a home. Yeah. And I think there's also one more thing where, like, Agnes is, or Herb, I guess. I don't know. Someone said it, right? One of them was like, she came here because, well, and then
she
Agnes kind of stops.
And they looked at each other and stopped.
Yeah.
And the next line is, it's because we are all, and then the word stops. And I'm assuming the word is trapped here because of Wanda.
Right. So then, again, your theory of Vision being a figment of Wanda's imagination.
I think it's like not really just a figment of, she created this being that's like self-aware, like it's like an android, another human. I don't think it's like just a fake person. It's a physical person that has its own thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I had a theory. Yesterday I was talking to you about it, and I think it's a scribe. Did I say that right?
A Skrull.
A Skrull. Okay, so I think it's a shape-shifting Skrull who Wanda kind of took because she knew he could kind of look like Vision, and then she kind of trapped him there and wiped his memory just like everyone else. And now this Skrull is trying to figure out Skrull, sorry, horrible with names. Is trying to figure out, or he is getting to the point where he's figuring out what's going on.
I mean, it could be, because I guess the end of
Or is that too far-fetched?
No, that's reasonable. I mean, anything is reasonable when it's Marvel. Yeah. But, like, why would she want a Skrull to do that job for her? Like,
because they can shapeshift and look like Vision. she needs a replacement for Vision. This is how she is mentally coping with the fact that he's dead.
I would think it's just it wouldn't be a real person. I don't think she would mentally capture somebody to do that.
But I'm saying no. I'm saying possibly. Now I don't know if it is the shape shifting guys or not. That again, I still think that's a little bit far fetched. But if he's a figment of her imagination, wouldn't everyone else be? And it looks like everyone else is also they're slightly aware. We talked about the hearts, right, in the first episode.
Yeah.
And how the wife, when her husband is choking, she is not able to do anything, but you can see from her acting and her facial expression that she wants to be able to intervene and stop her husband from choking. It was almost like she was trapped there, right? If these weren't real people and a figment of her imagination, why would they have these kind of reactions to things happening?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like those other side characters are all real people.
So why is Vision the only one that's not, is what I'm saying. He's not different from anyone else besides the fact that he is her husband.
I mean, it's related. So I guess something to something I thought about earlier. The end of Endgame. Captain America returns all the stones to the rightful places. Where did Vision's stone go?
Right.
Because
you think?
I guess. I don't know. He's dead, so where are they going to put it? And then before that, it was in the staff. Of Loki's staff. So where did it go? So maybe
where did they grab it from? From him, right? In Endgame, from what I remember, they took it from Vision.
They got it from. No, I mean Infinity War. He breaks it out of his head, and then he adds it to the gauntlet, and he does the snap, and then Iron Man does his snap to reverse everything.
Yeah.
So, stone still exists now in this timeline. The Vision stone had to go somewhere. The Mind Stone.
Did she go back in time, grab Vision from a different universe?
I don't think they would do that to undermine Infinity War.
Yeah, because then it would get really confusing and complicated. I feel like if you keep going back in time, it would get a little confusing.
Yeah,
unless
it has to be more. I mean, they did go back. They did mess with time travel now.
Yeah.
In two movies.
One movie.
They did it
just Endgame.
Oh yeah, just Endgame.
Yeah. Endgame was really long, so I could tell you can get confused thinking it might be several different movies, but yeah, it's just Endgame.
Maybe at end of Infinity War they might have as well, but they didn't.
Because they invented time travel in Endgame. Iron Man did the deed. Okay.
No, so I mean, it could really be anything. We don't know right now why he's here, but what the bigger, I guess the big, revelation was I forget the name. What's her name again? Gwendolyn? No.
No, Geraldine
is a real person from the outside world that's not mind controlled.
Right.
And she's wearing the symbol. The sword symbol, same as the beekeeper and the same as the helicopter, and she
we saw at the end of episode
her out
1
of the world.
Yeah,
and
she kicked her out.
She kicked her out, and then she ends up in some kind of field with a bunch of trucks and cars and helicopter.
Yeah, almost like some big agency is there to save her.
No, so one of the doors has the logo on it.
The sword, right?
Yeah, but it's very blurry. But there is the symbol shown up there.
And, I figured it was them.
And then I'm thinking that helicopter from episode 2 is just another helicopter that China, I guess, maybe was trying to breach into this world.
Yep.
And it got trapped.
And it shrank. You said. You think you were saying?
Maybe it got shrunk because it's a force field of some kind.
Different dynamics. Yeah. I mean, dimensions, rather.
And then now thinking about it again, it made me think of, this is the area maybe, in Black Panther, their Wakanda is hidden with some kind of force field. It looks like nothing. Maybe it's the same kind of technology.
Could be. That really could be. I mean, I don't know if she's powerful enough to conjure up a whole different world. I know she's super powerful, but I don't know if she's that powerful. She can control people's minds though, right? Like
Yeah.
that is one of her powers. So she's definitely controlling all these people.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that was all. I mean, I guess she can manipulate people. Or she can control. Maybe, I guess she can control minds.
I don't know. Did we get that wrong? I feel like there was something where you can see her even in the older appearances that she had, that she can kind of control people, right?
Well, I mean, the reference would be in Ultron, the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone has their minds, I guess, altered, and then Hawkeye's like, no, I did that last time, and then he actually knocks her out.
Right.
Because the first movie, he was actually, like, mind controlled with the Mind Stone. Or maybe she's using the Mind Stone to control everybody.
Yeah, it could be. I thought she had some sort of like a hypnosis type like
She
did
has
I
something. Yeah, she does.
Okay, so that's the other thing why I think that she's the one controlling it.
Well, she has the power to put memories into your brain, which is what I guess she does to Iron Man and Ultron, where it's like she has the vision of
Right.
what are pretty much Thanos' attack, and that
Right.
scared him. So maybe she's putting these memories into these people, like, oh, you were living here in the 60s and 70s.
That
It's
that
like
was my
that.
guess. Because she had something to do with sort of mind control, for a lack of a better word, I'll just say that now. I think because of that, I'm leaning now more than I did in the last two episodes. In episode 3, I'm leaning more towards it being all of her doing. And I don't know 100% what the reason is, but I know something with Vision's death has to do like something with this.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's like her brother's dead, her
She's
boyfriend,
mourning.
husband is dead.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, there's also an interesting scene where Ultron, the events in Ultron were mentioned.
Yeah. So Geraldine, oh, that's her name.
I think that's her name.
Okay, I gotta write this down. No, so she
Well,
mentions
Monica, right? We're thinking it's Monica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, I guess, mentions. I guess Wanda, when they have kids, they have twins. We didn't mention that yet, but she does have kids. She births Billy and Tommy. And then she mentions, oh, I was also a twin, and my brother's name was Pietro. And then it kind of just like she's breaks character and is like, oh, he was killed by Ultron.
Yeah, Monica or Geraldine, she breaks character and she goes, "Oh, I know, like he was killed by Ultron." And then Wanda goes, "How do you know that?"
Yeah. And then she, I guess, just keeps asking, like, what do you mean? Don't ignore this, like, she's like, Wanda, don't be like this. And then just, I guess, it cuts and it's like she's kicked out.
Yeah, which is what we were talking about previously, where she's in a field and you see a bunch of what we're guessing is sword agents, right? So that's our guess. And then the other big thing, I guess, that happened is just the storyline. We talked a lot about in the last episode about how much of it was sitcom. I feel like this is true to the last two episodes, where again we get a story of a sitcom. We see her getting pregnant, and then in between all of this, right, Geraldine she's a pretty main part of the story, where Vision is trying to figure out why Wanda's pregnancy is accelerating so fast, and in the meantime he's also, because he's a concerned husband, he's trying to get help and is neurotic and very scared. But they're ready for the baby. And then Geraldine comes to visit, and Wanda is trying to hide her belly in all these random crazy ways. She puts like a bowl of fruit in front of her tummy, and because her pregnancy hormones are going haywire, there's a stork going around in the house that she's trying to hide from Geraldine, because she doesn't want her to know that she's pregnant, because it's kind of crazy. She just saw her yesterday and already she's pregnant and ready to give birth. So there is a full-fledged sitcom in this too, and the hijinks that comes from this episode is just Wanda trying to hide her baby and her pregnancy from Monica or Geraldine. and Vision trying to get help. And
Yeah.
it's funny because like the whole thing is like, oh, they're trying to pretend like they're normal, but he goes to the doctor and rushes him over to help Wanda give birth, and I'm just like, how is that not like them? They're not hiding it well.
Yeah, they're revealing it to people. Like, I guess the
Right.
first thing is like he goes to see the doctor and he brings him here, and he's there. She's like, "Oh, you're like 4 months." Then Vision's like, what if it was like 12 hours? And the
Yeah,
doctor's like, what are you talking about? then like another weird coincidence happens is like the doctor's like, oh, we're going to Florida or Bermuda or somewhere. And then he's like, that he tells the doctor, he's like, oh, can you keep this a secret? And he's like, it's kind of hard in a small town to keep secrets like this.
yeah,
So it's like, what's the doctor up to? Then later on, he like runs, which is I guess like an homage to Quicksilver. It's running because you never see Vision run like that.
yeah.
I was like, is this it's an episode where they mention Pietro for the first time in like 5 years ever in anything MCU.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, there maybe Vision's doing that on purpose, or maybe they're saving budget on like effects for super speed. No, and then like when the doctor's back, and then he's like, oh, I guess I'm not gonna go anywhere anymore. It's hard to get away. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it seems like everyone
what
is
broke
slowly
right
getting
now?
self-aware because Wanda is breaking. That's again, that's also a theory, but because she's cracking at the seams, her powers might be too, right? And so her hold that she has on these people is a lot less strong, and they are now becoming more and more aware.
I think they're talking, so I guess maybe like since Agnes knows, she maybe told more people like the doctor that like you can't actually escape this area. You're actually trapped here.
Could be.
Cause,
That
like,
very well could be. Maybe one person became aware, and now they're making everyone kind of notice that this isn't a real world.
yeah, so I hope next week we're gonna get some more answers.
Yeah, I mean, this episode was good because it didn't give any answers per se, but it helped us solidify some of our theories a little bit more and have evidence to back them up. I don't know if there's anything that's clear.
Yeah, no, we just still have no clue what's going on.
Yeah. And we are now just enjoying, like, seriously, like, it's just sit and enjoy the sitcom and just look for, like, the Easter eggs. I was listening to some other people's podcasts, and they were saying, like, we don't like the sitcom whatsoever. Like, it's boring to us.
I've seen a lot of comments about that. They're against this format, and I'm like, I don't mind it at all.
I'm like, let them try something new. Like, relax. This is a 30-minute show out of your life, right? You've got, on a Friday night, like, you can watch it whenever, first of all. So it's 30 minutes, not even, you said, 25? Just sit, watch, get what you can out of it. I feel like this form of entertainment is a little bit more interesting because it's telling you that it's wanting to tell a different type of story, but it's getting pulled back from just the lore of MCU, right?
Yeah.
So it's the creators, they want to kind of pay homage to all of these different types of storytelling in all these different decades, but they're also sticking to the story of MCU and kind of giving you tidbits of what is going to come in the future. And I also heard that a lot of this stuff is going to happen towards like the end of the series, where you're really going to know the answers actually all the way at the end of the episode, because they might want to enjoy making this type of content for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying something different, which I think they've done more than enough, like, to prove that, like, they can get away with doing something weird and still showing up. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but there's also still a formula to it, right?
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy is not quite as different from Ant-Man, right? Because they have certain types of gags that they do in certain, right?
Yeah.
During a fight scene, they'll have something funny. And I actually noticed this more when I was watching a DC movie, Shazam. When I was watching it, I was like, I think they're kind of trying to apply the Marvel formula to a DC movie. Not fully, but slightly, where, you know, they're fighting, he's fighting with the bad guy, and he's being like a comedian.
Yeah.
So that's some of these little things are like Marvelisms that they put into their movies, and something that we love. And I mean, I know people think the Marvel MCU is very formulaic, so I don't know why a lot of people have a problem with WandaVision, because I feel like this is not really following that. This is a completely different story with a different format and a different way of telling the same story, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different. You can have a superhero movie, but different genres, and this is something. The sitcom genre, I guess, the first time ever to do this.
And Doctor Strange might be a horror movie, from what I heard, right?
Yeah. I think I'm still enjoying it. I don't think we're gonna be disappointed. Next year's gonna be 80s, I guess, themed. And I'm assuming that's gonna be something like Full House and Friends or Seinfeld.
Yeah, Seinfeld, is that 80s?
Yeah, that's 80s.
It's 80s. Okay, so I'm thinking, because that's the big one, right? So I'm thinking it's gonna be kind of like Seinfeld. But I also don't know how that would, because there's no, like, I guess, family dynamic in Seinfeld.
They're not living in apartments.
Yeah, true.
I mean, they could change everything. Like, the set actually.
The set was different.
Was way closer to the Brady Bunch set. Like, they had the same stairs even.
Right. So, but like, now you notice, right?
Yeah,
now
this
it's
time I noticed, because it's good in color too.
Yep. Yeah, Full House is actually also in the 80s, apparently. It started in 1987. So that counts.
No, they'll definitely do Full House something, because kids, they'll have twin kids at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Full House only had one kid, but they used 2 actors. But this one, I think the kids are going to be at least, like, I don't think they'll be babies. I think they'll be like 5 maybe.
Yeah, Cheers is another big one, right? Yeah. Like from the 80s, that's a cult favorite. Married with Children. Oh my god, I love that. They still do that one. Seinfeld, Seinfeld's 1989, so it might be a tail end, but potentially
they could put that into the next one.
Yeah, potentially.
Friends or something.
Yeah. So there's, I think sitcoms really probably took off in the 80s, like where they were making it by the bucket loads. So maybe potentially they have a lot of options. For this one, I read on Wikipedia that it was there was a combination of Brady Bunch, the Mary Tyler Show.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm not familiar with that one at all.
I know the Mary Tyler Show is, she was actually I know we talked about the Dick Van Dyke Show in the first episode. She's actually the actress who played the wife to Dick Van Dyke in the show. So essentially the Wanda of the show. Okay. So in the 70s, she had her own show because I guess people liked her as an actress. I never saw the Mary Tyler Show, but I did like her in the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Okay.
Yep.
No, so we'll definitely have, like, I guess, Full House is 100% definitely. I think there's gonna be references to that. I mean, maybe there's some like black sitcoms too now, because I guess you have Herb there as, like, he's been in 2 or 3 episodes now, not 2 episodes, and I didn't really understand what he was what they were referencing with him just standing by the fence. I was like,
what was he cutting?
I was like, that's not a Mr. Feeney reference. That's not.
No,
Women's World is 90s, right?
That's 90s. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Home Improvement, where there was the neighbor, you could never see, like, his chin or most of his face.
Yeah.
But it was weird because he was cutting his, like,
hedges,
his fence.
Yeah.
And then he just kept going, and he was, like, waving.
Still doing it later, like, hours later.
Yeah. Weird. Real weird stuff. I don't know what's going on there. There was also another thing I heard, Where do you remember in the second episode you hear someone's voice asking Wanda, is someone doing this to you?
Yeah, I saw whose voice that is, but I don't want to spoil it.
I know whose voice it is.
Do you want to say?
I mean, I'm just gonna say Asian Jim, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Oh yeah, 100%. Randall Park.
Yeah, Randall Park. Okay.
So he was in Ant-Man 2, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And he's a SHIELD FBI agent, SHIELD CIA agent, some kind of agent. I don't think he's SHIELD. I think it's just like CIA or.
I think he's like a regular like American agency agent because he wasn't he arresting Ant-Man for just some
he was
thievery or whatever, like thievery.
Yes,
right.
That's the voice of him, and it's like, what does that mean? Is he part of now SHIELD? Or Sword?
Yeah,
Sword.
Could be, or maybe not. I don't know. It's too early to guess. We only heard him once, so I don't really have any guesses for that. Potentially be part of SHIELD/Sword. Maybe it's the same agency now. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're against each other. Or maybe he just works for the FBI and they need Wanda for something. I don't know. It could be a number of things.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction is for the end that Wanda is the bad guy in this.
Yeah.
Or whoever is controlling Wanda is like, I guess someone else is already controlling Wanda right now.
Mm-hmm. Maybe someone put this thought in her. I guess
the thing that he asks, like, who is doing this to you? Mm-hmm. And it's like, is she doing it to herself? I don't know. It's hard to say right now.
It could be that someone egged her on to this, but then she controls all of it, right? Like maybe someone did or said something to her that pushed her over the edge, and that was what they wanted. But this world is all of her own making. I don't know. There's not enough information. I mean, I guess everyone understands that in the span of all of this, if there's 100 and how many? 90 minutes probably, right? At most that we've seen at this point. Out of those 90 minutes, at least 80, I would say comfortably 80 minutes of that is just sitcom nonsense. Yeah. For lack of a better word. It's just hijinks going on. And we defended it not that long ago, right? We're saying there's nothing wrong with it, but we are not getting a clear story because of it. So there's a lot of theorizing going on, and I don't know. I can't fully say that I can support any of these theories, but this is kind of where my mind's going with the little information we've been given.
Yeah, I mean, I think this episode, you first see the Pietro stuff where you're like, oh, okay, I need to pay attention. Mm-hmm. I need the subtitles for whatever they're saying. And that was like maybe like 15, 16 minutes in.
Right.
And then, I mean, I guess maybe there's like 2 minutes of relevant, like, you're seeing really any progression in the story. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of it's just fun sitcom moments.
Yeah. Is there anything you're disappointed with in this episode that you thought they were going to do more of and did less of?
I feel like there was less Vision in this episode.
Yeah, there was. Because, I mean, to be fair, Wanda's the one that's pregnant, so it makes sense that they're focusing more on her. And I think there was a perfect amount of Vision to cast doubt on the story, right? And to confuse you. Because in my notes when I was watching, I only had 3 lines because the episode was so short. Yeah. But I have, Vision is definitely aware of the time, right? Because he mentions it several times that she is pregnant way too fast, giving birth even faster. And then the other thing is, the confusion about whether he's real or not, and we discussed that a little bit. You seem to think that he might be a figment of her imagination. I seem to think that he's definitely not Vision, but he's not a figment. I think there's something more going on there. So I think we're both kind of in agreement that it's not Vision.
No, yeah, it's definitely not the original one created by Tony Stark.
Right, but we're not 100% sure who this person is. But I seem to think that he's got some type of, I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell. I'm very confused about it. I have like 3 question marks after that. Is he real or is he not? So there's a lot of confusion over there. But I am upset about one big thing.
What is that?
The fact that they didn't have Kitty even a little bit in this episode. I was like, it's the
Well, I mean,
70s.
the thing is, like, that show was actually in 1998.
I know it was, but
so they'll put her
still,
maybe in the 90s episode.
maybe. I still think they should have just had her just do at least her laugh or something in the background. It's fine. The MCU people wrote Community, not the 70s show, so they're forgiven. They had a lot of Community Easter eggs.
Maybe they could do Community later on present day.
I hope they do. That'd be really good.
Then
Community
get the
is
Russo brothers to direct it.
the only thing with Community is Community itself
It's too weird.
does a lot of different genres, right? Not one episode sticks to one thing.
No, not at all. It's too weird.
Yeah. So it is a little hard. I mean, I guess if you think about it, they're already doing that with WandaVision with all these different era type, shows. So I wouldn't mind. Community is pretty good up until a certain point, so it'd be interesting. But I think you're right. It might be a little too weird for WandaVision, and just I don't know how they'd put it in the show. It doesn't have a set formula.
No, I mean, I feel like this is the most unique thing we've ever seen, where it's like different every week.
Unique from both like DC or MCU, right? Like,
and just in TV in general, like no other show has done anything where they're like referencing generations of TV, like decades at a time.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I mean, yeah, it's weird. But so far, I'm not gonna write it off. There's sometimes when I'm just like, I'm kind of over the sitcom, and sometimes I'm like, I'm enjoying it, right? Like certain things.
It's too short to say.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking, actually going back and watching the first 2 episodes, and then I put on episode 1, and I kind of was like,
I can't watch it again.
I don't want to watch the sitcom part.
Yeah.
I just want to watch the breaks.
Right.
I'm interested to see where the cracks are in this world.
I think here's what happened. The first episode we watched, we were expecting it not to be this much of a sitcom, but it was. And I think the whole time, because you're not watching it to watch the story, right? So all we did the first episode is just look at Easter eggs and try to figure out if there's any connection to the current MCU. And there's very minimal. So then I expected the formula for season 2 to be the same, but I wasn't disappointed because actually when you compare it to did I say season 2? I meant episode 2.
Yeah.
When you compare episode 2 to episode 1, there is a lot more Easter eggs, so you're more satisfied with the second episode. I think the third episode is where you kind of got more information, but I think because of that, I wasn't as interested in like the sitcom.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Something I saw with some reviewers, and they said that the press got early access to the first 3 episodes, not just 1 and 2. So it was bundled together probably for a reason. Like these are the 3 classic sitcom kind of era episodes, and then now it's like this thing ends on when it goes from like the 4:3 aspect ratio to back to full widescreen HD, and it's like, okay, something's like, is next week actually going to still be sitcom, or will it be starting with like maybe that agency stuff?
I hope so. I'm ready for it now. I don't want them to completely leave this idea because, like you said, it is very different, and I am enjoying its integration with the MCU story. I think if this was just a sitcom alone, I think people will still watch it because America does love old-timey sitcoms. But that's not what you expect from the MCU, and they have such a huge budget. Don't waste it on like a sitcom. So I think the more they go, obviously they're gonna retract back that storytelling of a sitcom and go more into like the Easter eggs and the MCU today. Fingers crossed.
I don't think. I think they're just saving their budget for the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. You just kind of have to go along for the ride and see how it goes. But all in all, it was a decent episode. I loved her hair in this. I just want to mention her hair looks so nice. Her outfit's very cute. Hair? No, I did not. And you never seen The Lovely Bones, right? I don't know why, but he reminded me of. It's like a movie, or it was based on a book that we read in high school. But it was this girl, she gets raped. I think it's in the 70s too, so maybe that's why I thought about it. For some reason, I think he looked kind of like the rapist. I don't know. Maybe it's just all in my head. I haven't seen it in a while. But I did not like his hair.
I mean, it's not. Is it a wig?
It's definitely a wig.
I actually don't know what he looks like without it.
I think he's got like a crew cut.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about him.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see if they'll have more of Geraldine in the real world in the next episode. I'll be excited to see that. And I think we talked about a theory, so I don't know if you want to rehash them, but I think we mainly talked about theory in this episode because there was so much room and so much...
Yeah, I mean, it was like just... The ending scene was just like, okay, we are definitely in some fake world, and what is it? Who's controlling it? Who's doing this?
Yeah. It's really upsetting.
You can imagine like a million different things.
Yeah. It was really upsetting the way it ended.
Oh, that's just perfect. Like, not perfect, but it's like...
It's such a cliffhanger, isn't it? I'm just like, oh, I want more.
Yeah. I mean, that was the same as last week. Last week was...
You're right.
The color breaking, and it's like...
You're right.
They're doing really good with that.
Yeah. They've mastered the art of cliffhangers for sure, so... I mean, we were watching Spider-Man Home Away from Home before we put on WandaVision.
Far From Home.
Far From Home. Again, bad with names. Sorry. But we were watching that, and the last scene, right, after the credits, you know, where he basically outs, spoiler, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how good of a cliffhanger that is, because I did not want to leave the theater, and we didn't because there was another scene after that, which wasn't tied to anything. So it was very disappointing, but they're really good with that. They make you excited for what's coming next.
Yeah. I think, like, I was kind of imagining we'd have, like, mid-credit scenes during this, but, I mean, we're not, I guess.
No. We forward through it every week, or from the past 2 weeks. I used to do it with Mandalorian, that's why I'm saying every week, because, like, the credits are so long, because there's so many people that work on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of editing and effects.
So I'm not upset that it's that long, but I just wish they put a little something at the end so I could appreciate all the people that work. I mean, I guess I can forward through it, which I do. But
I mean, they could have edited it where they just said that, oh, Geraldine went home, and then credits, and then the end was when she flew out of that portal.
Right? They could have done it that way. Darn. That's okay. Yeah, but
the last episode will get one. Because the last episode of Mandalorian had one.
It did?
Yeah.
Did I miss it?
You probably did. It was the end, and there was an end credit scene.
It wasn't the one with the bad CGI, right? With the one person's face.
No, not that. There's actual post-credit scene that announces a new show.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I saw it. You told me, and then I went back and I watched it. It was with the girls, right?
No. It's a Boba Fett 3-episode TV
show. Yeah, you're right. Because I texted you later. I'm like, what's Boba Fett? I don't watch Star Wars like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this?
No, people are very excited about this.
Yeah. Boba Fett was in there. I always just thought it was some type of creature, not like a guy. So that was interesting.
Oh, now you know.
Now I know. All right, so I think that's all I kind of had to say about this episode. I'm excited for next week, as always. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think it's a pretty good, tight 25-minute episode. I hope next week is longer. And I hope we get more information.
Yeah. All right, and with that, we're closing Now in Color review of WandaVision, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.